Hello everyone, welcome back to Tower of Babble. This is our Sony E3 special. Me and Dan, we did a Xbox one earlier. You can find that on our website and on iTunes, Stitcher, on our YouTube page, all that good stuff. Now we're gonna break down the Sony press conference. First impressions, Dan.
It was a very slow beginning, but it paid off in the end, I guess, to sit through it. They basically just had a big screw you to Xbox. Screw you
the whole final finale bit was like, we took your best developer and they have an exclusive deal with us, and
we're doing everything right,
and we're doing that you're not doing. It's cheaper. That's probably the biggest thing, other than the no used games deal that they came with at the end there. It's cheaper. It's $3.99. Xbox is $4.99. That's a big deal, right?
I mean, I was already probably going to buy the system, but it's not a huge deal to me as much. But I know it's a big deal to other people. So
yeah, to consumers it is.
Yeah, I think so. So they also didn't make it super clear, but it seemed that you needed PlayStation Plus to play online, kind of like Xbox Live for 360. It's how much is Xbox Live a year? $60?
Some of those lines, they're about the same.
They're about the same when you work it out. But I think PlayStation Plus, as if you have everything being equal, PlayStation Plus, I think it now almost seems like a better deal than Xbox Live does. You have the cross game chat.
None of us here have Xbox Live, so we can't.
Yeah, no, but I mean with the
and also like we should confirm that before that's I don't know if that's
what they. I don't know. I have the tweet here, and it's it sure seems like it.
A tweet from who?
Sony. From Sony.
What did they say?
Let me find it here. Filling air.
Either way, you may as well get PlayStation Plus because you get
I guess
a free game.
Yeah, well, when you buy it, we come at launch. What they say Drive Club will be.
Drive Club was.
So you buy the system for $3.99, pay $50, and then you can get a free game every month.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay. So the tweet from here from PlayStation is: PS4 gamers who aren't PlayStation Plus members can still enjoy single-player games for free. Single-player games being the key word there. And access media services, and that won't require Plus. So, to me, that seems like
it's kind of like they're beating around the bush, but saying you need to. No,
but let's talk.
It's not that huge a deal to me.
No.
But
so let's talk about like that like you said, the big screw you moment.
The only reason that is an issue for me though is that Xbox has been upfront and very blunt about the issue, like the having to call home every 24 hours and stuff. And this seems like Sony's trying to avoid it.
But then they started to.
Well, they never said it at any of the conferences. They had to get asked in like behind backdoor rooms and stuff.
And now, this is where you do this is where people want to know these things. So that question is going to be asked later on for them, anyways.
Yeah. Well, so the big moment was obviously, other than the price, was when there was like a minute-long standing ovation practically for the no used game or the. What I say? No restrictions on no restrictions on used games.
Yeah. Game sharing in general. Yeah.
Then they even explained it. You can like buy it, give it away, sell it.
Yeah.
Do that after you buy the game. It's you do what you want with it.
And Shuei had tweeted out that funny video of how to trade games on PlayStation. If you haven't seen it, it's on Twitter. Fucking at YoSP. Why did I swear there? I don't know why. I don't know why I swore there. So the big games at the conference they started with PlayStation 3 and Vita, talking about the stuff that we already knew, like,
and Vita's going to be like a much bigger part of the next PS, like more connected with the PS4 and stuff like that.
Talked about Last of Us, Puppeteer, Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Gran Turismo, Batman. Speaking of Batman,
that was a big one.
Close to our hearts was the new voices for Batman and the Joker, who we know that I can't remember his name now, who's voicing Batman, but it's not terrible. It's better than the guy from Batman Year One.
Yeah, so like it's not even a sentence, basically.
Yeah.
But fine.
Joker's voice was.
He also said like 2 words, but
I thought it was cool actually.
Well,
Well, I mean, like, wait, I'll reserve judgment, but yeah.
People who I don't know, I've never.
The trailer itself was pretty sweet though. Yeah, that was brand new and.
It's kind of repetitive though. Like they showed like a teaser.
They showed them handing off the case file or whatever you want to call it. But what was cool? One of the cool things I saw that was like a gameplay feature was the detective mode, and it did had like a little rewind thing where like he you know, in the last game you could track the trajectory of the sniper rifle, the bullets and whatever.
Yeah, it would
and this,
show it.
I guess a helicopter had crashed, and there was a dude that was dead on the ground, and he like tracked how that dude had fallen like through the windshield of the helicopter. So that was pretty cool.
That does seem cool.
Like, yeah, I understand it's not a really big issue at all. But I hate when they do prequel games like this, because like if he has that technology and those capabilities in this game, why couldn't
he didn't need to use that technology, that capabilities.
There was a couple of crashed helicopters in Arkham City.
They also announced a GTA bundle for the PS3. I mean, that's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Vita, they talked about the God of War collection, Flower, coming.
And a bunch of old games.
Expanding the Vita selection.
Yeah. Because not a lot of people developing for it, or new games anyway. Then they got onto the PS4, and they started with the reveal of what the actual box looked like. Dan said very reminiscent of
the PS2, which is, I have no problem with that. That's not an issue.
From the front angle, yeah.
Yeah, when it's
standing it's also just the way that it stands up like that. Like,
then at first you thought it looked like the Xbox One because it had the shiny part and
the matte part. Yeah. So it has that. They're similar in that way. They're both black, obviously, but
I like the sharp edges on it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I don't really care that much what the system looks like.
Well, at the same time, it's like it sits under your TV for I guess,
long time. Yeah, and like the PS4, but the Xbox One in the same way will look like part of your entertainment system, more so than the 360 ever did.
Yeah, so a white concave well, it wasn't even a box thing.
It's just a large and bulky kind of choppy thing.
So I mean, that's fine. I mean, you expect that kind of modern design at this point, like stage in
very sleek
the industry.
It's the word I use to describe it. Sleek.
Yeah, it's got those makes it look fast, like the slanted edges.
Yeah. Doesn't look very big too. Like he held it, it wasn't huge.
Well, it was looked about the same size as the original PlayStation, like the PS3, not the original PlayStation, but the original PS3, the PS3 Fat or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't huge, but it looked a little bit smaller than that.
They didn't really show the controller too much.
No, but we already
kind of know.
We already know what its deal is. Yeah. The DualShock 4. It's got the different
February
colored things. Yeah. Then they talked about the more boring stuff. There's a lot of slow stuff at the beginning. They talked about Music Unlimited and Video Unlimited. This one was
much longer than the Microsoft one too.
Yeah, almost an hour longer. Talked about Redbox and live events. And then they
just had to gloss over the TV stuff because that's what Xbox did at the other their other conference.
Then the first game stuff that they showed was a game by Santa Monica and Ready at Dawn, was Order 1886. So then what did you that there were certain things in there that made you think it was
the quote at the beginning had something to do with King Arthur, and then a couple of the name Galahad and stuff. Like that's like whatever. We don't know anything about the game though. Galahad's one of the Knights of the Round Table, but
the quote was from 400 years earlier, though, right, or something like that.
But it wasn't like a quote from any Arthurian text or whatever. It was like a quote. I don't even know what it was. It just fucking.
And it's not like reality. Like it's a skewed.
Well, it's weird. It's like steampunk almost.
Yeah, steampunk. That's cool.
But not
kind of.
Yeah, it's like
we have a lot of technology and radio that they wouldn't have. But
they still use swords and horses.
The guns, like machine guns and radio, but horse and buggy. But then there's like a train system, like a monorail.
And then there's blimps. It's very confusing.
Yes, and it's not really clear what they're fighting, like some kind of werewolf or monster, but it's just a big hulking thing. And
have
shades of the mist,
shades of Van Helsing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Looks cool.
It said it was in.
I mean, it's always exciting to get just a new franchise like that.
And I think the E3 tagline is made in-game engine or whatever, which doesn't necessarily mean gameplay footage. Just means it was made with the engine the game was made.
Then they gloss it over. It looks shiny. Basically.
Exactly. So it doesn't really mean anything.
I mean, it looked good for what it was.
Yeah.
Then they caught us up to speed with some of the games that they showed in February. So they showed us Infamous. They showed us Killzone, and what else did we? Knack, and Drive Club. But Drive Club was 3 seconds, and then
there was nothing new there.
Yeah,
a little bit new gameplay of Knack, I guess, and lots of Killzone.
Yeah, you know what to expect from those games, though.
Most we got out of Infamous.
Looked good.
Yeah, we got more story out of Infamous. It wasn't just so post. I don't even know how to describe it. What was post-apocalyptic? It was big.
Just the changed landscape after what's happened to the other games.
It's just another guy dealing with his powers again,
so. And somewhere else, just in a real city this time instead of a made-up one.
And this guy's embracing them more too. Whereas Cole was kind of mad and stuff. They wanted to find the guy responsible for it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It obviously I want to see more of like just of what the game is like. Just read like a plot synopsis or something because I'm still not exactly sure. I mean, you have a guy with powers in Seattle. Cool.
Cool.
Then they moved on from there. Well, they didn't really. They said that all those titles that were going to be launch titles except for Second Sons, which is going to be Q1 2014. That's kind of good. Like Knack, and Drive. Like we know, Drive Club's going to be free for PlayStation Plus members.
Yep.
So Killzone, if that's a launch title, that's big. You always want a shooter at launch.
Franchise.
Then they showed like that game demo footage. It wasn't demo. It was like just test footage by the guys who do Heavy Rain. That sorcerer.
That was weird.
Dark Sorcerer.
That was cool. I liked how they ended it. Made it like a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was getting a little
it was like
bloated.
Yeah, it was like all these lights and flames.
And he was like just saying a bunch of random like magic words. Nonstop. I hate that's one thing I hate about like new fantasy, like that when they make up a bunch of just random names and have a sorcerer just like chanting them. Like none of that means anything to anybody.
I love when someone anytime the word talisman is used, is that it's getting up into that like genre. But yeah, then it looked amazing. And if you can make a game look like that, that's crazy. Then the indie game portion, which is to a lot of people a pretty big deal, probably.
Yeah, I think it was the highlight.
They started with the guys from Bastion, Supergiant Games, come out showing Transistor, which looked a lot like Bastion, but more stylized. Which, if that's somehow possible,
yeah, it was like weirdly stylized.
Yeah.
It's its own little, like you said, artsy, but it's like a top-down action RPG, whatever you want to call it.
And they talked about Octodad.
Yeah,
and just the fact that they can publish their own games, so there's going to be lots to choose from.
That's cool. And then
which is like a big arcade you can choose from different types of games.
So. Well, there was that game where you're like walking with the camcorder. That can look.
Oblivion or no.
I had something like that.
Outlast.
Which that's pretty cool. Like
and
that
idea
of the game.
That looks terrifying.
That one's going to be free too in the coming months.
I don't know if I'll never play it.
You'll never play that.
But it looks interesting as a game.
I'd try it, but
it's going to be free. So
that's free on PlayStation Plus as well?
Like 3 of those indie games is going to be free, it said, soon.
That's pretty cool. Then they talked about Final Fantasy, and I don't know what was going on in that whole section. I have no idea. They started, it's like weird. Versus 13 also, turns into a 15, and
then when they showed another trailer for something,
and then they said 14 after.
They said a few bunch of others. I'm not familiar with the whole Final Fantasy thing, like where it's at. I guess 14 is where you're at in the regular one, and what does the versus stuff mean?
I thought versus was like a turn-based combat.
No, isn't it all turn-based?
No, but like kind of remember games like Advanced Wars or whatever? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like those kind of games. I thought that's what the versus were.
Well, whatever it was, they were showing the trailer for the versus thing the whole time, and at the end it said versus 13, and then they got rid of that and made it Final Fantasy 15.
So does that mean Final Fantasy 15 is versus 13? Or
they've heard all the complaints about all this convolution and like confusion.
They don't care. They don't understand.
They just did it again. Like I don't know why they
just remake Final Fantasy 7 and you'll make $1 million and you can go make another stupid Final Fantasy 25.
They know they get made fun of when you don't make sense at a conference. Like
yeah,
and they did it again. So
and like that guy was talking and it was like 3 sentences and the whole time he was talking the screen was fading. It was fading to black the whole time.
So that was kind of confusing.
But we're not really Final Fantasy fans.
No.
Really.
But I mean, at the same time,
Hearts,
we know people are, and Kingdom Hearts 3 is obviously going to be huge.
That's a big deal for people. Not for us.
No. Then they went on to Assassin's Creed. None of us really like Assassin's Creed.
Dale hates it, even though he has 2 of the games.
There's no reason to hate it. I feel like there's not like hate.
Just like I hated Infamous too. So like I don't even.
Infamous 1.
Infamous 1. I like Infamous as well.
How can you hate Infamous?
I get into these things. I get like this with games too. Like I was like this with Skyrim too. Like if something really bothers me about it to that point, I just like I boycott it.
Did you play Infamous 2? You never played Infamous 2.
I think I tried it once here, but like briefly, and I already had my mind made up.
It's free on PlayStation Plus now.
Yeah, well, it's not happening. But no, I am not a big fan of the Assassin's Creed games. Not just because of like the running mechanics. I have a big problem with that too. I like to be able to control where my character's going, not just hold 3 buttons and press forward, or hold X and R2 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But even just the story has gotten kind of just weird and convoluted and like not even something I want to. Well, I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it, but I got far enough into it.
I thought at some point it would catch up to like modern day, and you would play a game in like the future or whatever that's going on.
It's like because
you
like
play in modern day in
the
3, like spoilers or whatever, but like the modern day guy dies in the 3rd one.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the shaved head dude who's
he's been into the first 3.
That crystal leg or whatever.
Yeah.
He dies that.
Oh.
So that storyline's kind of
what's his name? I don't remember his name now.
So he's like an ancestor, like his ancestors are the.
Yeah, like he's going back and doing.
I don't really know too much about that stuff, but it's like this is like Call of Duty now. You get a game every year with a different locale and different setting, different character.
Well, it makes sense. Like I understand why you make as much money as you can.
You get to dive into a new place. Like the demo was cool. You got like this luscious forest.
I mean it looks beautiful, but the games have always looked beautiful. But that doesn't really mean that much if you can't play it.
And like Colin Morio says, like it's the best looking game, or like aesthetically. But the gameplay just like trounces it, like it's just not worth it.
Like I mean, I did have fun playing 3 at certain points, but like I was doing my own thing. I was like hunting animals, and like every time I played like a story mission, it was never. So
I
had a couple of minor glitches.
You were playing Red Dead, but in Assassin's Creed.
Kind of, it's the same thing. I did the same thing in Skyrim after I got pissed off. Like I would go and like be like this. I had literally spent hours just walking around like the north and finding new animals to hunt or whatever. Like, and that's fun, but you can only do that for so long. But like the actual story of these games it was never a big deal for me.
The idea of it at the beginning appealed to me.
It's a cool concept.
I don't know. Like but if you watch the recap videos, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, the story, and they're making Assassin's Creed movie.
Yeah, but there's just it's not very streamlined.
I feel like the movie could be well done. Like there's a lot you could do with it.
Well, they have their own movie studio, hey?
The campaign should just be like 6 hours or something like that. Where you don't have to like.
I don't think it's much longer than that, but.
It should just be just story based, like Uncharted. You go through, you don't have to stop at a village or whatever.
Yeah, I never thought it should be open world. That never made sense to me.
No, it's cool to open crowds, or whatever. And you got to like find information, but like,
and like for the record, I'm not against side quests. I'm not against like the missions where you have to like follow someone around and be sneaky and all that stuff. I like that like stealth aspect.
But they don't advertise it like that though. They advertise it like it's a big,
like adventure
epic story adventure game.
Which it is, but I mean,
it jumps around a lot too. Because in the latest one in 3, you play like you don't just go back and play. I didn't play 2 as much. You play as Ezio. I don't know if you play him as the whole game.
Yeah, Ezio.
In 3, you play as like a bunch of different ancestors, like and then like at one point, I don't really remember exactly, but at one point you're trying to kill the guy that you started off as, like he was your dad.
Oh, that's weird.
So
right.
Anyways, well, I'm not a fan of that series.
A lot of people like the sailing parts, so now you're a pirate and you sail a ship.
And like, it looked cool. It looked like a lot of fun jumping from between these ships and just murking people. But
I'm pretty sure that's how every Assassin's Creed trailer is like. Man, it looks really cool, and then someone plays it, and it's like, well, it looks really cool, but it's just not a lot of fun to play.
And like that's what's so disappointing about it, because like even like obviously being an assassin sounds like a fun video game, and it looks that great, and you have all these cool weapons and stuff like that, and they're cool like kill animations and stuff like that. I just want more control over it. Like I want to be able to fucking play the game.
The slow-mo drop 2-person kill, which they did like 4 times in that trailer.
It's kind of glossed over the Batman game, but I guess we noticed the gameplay is
very similar.
To the Arkham
but I mean,
games,
it is an Arkham game.
The original Arkham game.
And that's exciting for me though, because I love that gameplay. That gameplay is awesome.
That's
what if Assassin's Creed could control like that. Like it doesn't. I don't want every game to control like that similarly, but like that one you feel like you are, even though you're really only pressing the one or two buttons.
Yeah, sometimes.
But like you feel like you're more in control of it, and you feel like you're Batman.
You feel like you could just like you can take out a group of people as one person, like a badass.
So that's what it comes down to. It's just the gameplay,
just seamless gameplay.
Yeah, I think lots of people agree with that. It's like no matter how good your game looks, if your gameplay doesn't.
But some people can get over that fact, which they have obviously.
Then they brought out a video of LeBron James talking to LeBron James.
Oh, that one was brutal.
It didn't look as great as like you would expect it to.
Well, it's just
I wanted it to be phenomenal. It wasn't.
They always talk about cutting edge technology, but like if you look up, like there's tech demos for PC gaming that's like far beyond this stuff. It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I already know like when I watching the EA conference, which I guess we could talk about a little bit.
We might as well do
that the Battlefield 4 demo was all done on PC.
Yeah.
With 64 players. They brought 64 people with PCs up on stage, and they all played. and it looked amazing, like just unreal. But we don't know if even the PS4 or the Xbox One is going to be able to even do that, which is
it won't be as good.
I mean, it doesn't look. I mean, it looks very similar to Battlefield 3, which looked good as well, but it looks even better. So I think this is like kind of like that stage where they made it. They got the visuals and the aesthetic that they wanted. Now they're building on the gameplay, which is going to make this one like the Battlefield 2 to like the Battlefield 1942 as Battlefield 3. It's like it's just like going to be the next step, and it's going to be pretty crazy.
Very excited for that game.
Yeah, we talked extensively about Battlefield in the Sony or in the Xbox One. Yeah,
we didn't really play Battlefield 3 that much.
I played a lot.
Julian plays a lot. Yeah. There were a few times where we got to get like online and did it, but
the problem was at the launch of the Battlefield 3, it was buggy at the launch of Battlefield 3. Certain things didn't work. It was hard to get in as a group. If they fixed that, those problems,
that's true. But it's also just your lifestyle and what you're doing. If you have time, to play the exact same time your friends are playing.
And we had great moments in Bad Company 2 where that was good. Kicked a lot of ass. After the 2K NBA Elder Scrolls MMO, which we don't. Dan hates Elder Scrolls now because one game.
I hate Bethesda now because of what they did to me.
That's fine. You can boycott that. I agree with that.
And I also
if they release a game that's so buggy that's unplayable, then sure.
Yeah,
all the reason to do that.
Yeah, and it's not just the one game. That one was the worst, but Bethesda has done that a few times.
What's the Fallout Vegas?
Fallout Las Vegas. Was there that one?
New Vegas.
That one.
New Vegas. Yeah, that.
That one.
No, apparently it was just super buggy on PS.
There's one bug that was like you need to have a certain hat on to continue into. Yeah, it was weird.
And MMOs are also harder to do. And I'm not a big fan of MMOs. They're like such a time commitment.
They don't have to be anymore.
No, but but then if I feel like
so is an RPG though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not this. I feel like an RPG. I'm more able to just pick it up whenever. MMOs, like when I was playing DCUO, like I felt like if I went a couple days without playing it, I'm like, well, I feel like I'm like negative progress almost. I know it's not actually the case.
I think lots of modern MMOs now fix that problem.
But because
I never really played MMO.
Like constantly on and constantly going. I feel like people are surpassing me and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we never played Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is supposed to be like Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 or whatever because of all the content that's in it. But like, that game was designed to be just pick up, play one.
That'd probably be your favorite game ever if you played that game.
Probably. I love Star Wars. I love Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm really upset.
Speaking of which,
they announced Battlefront, which is sweet. Battlefront's a sweet.
They just like announced it.
It was just a very small teaser.
It was on Hoth, and that's
not
cool.
It probably was Hoth, but it doesn't have to be Hoth.
It doesn't have to be. There was ice, and there was an
A-wing and an AT-AT.
How long was the imagery though, and what was the imagery from?
It was a guy walking through sno, and then an A-wing comes crashing down, and then a giant
foot.
I
don't know if it was a dude walking. It was just the camera.
And so how long? And so how long was this footage?
It was like
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could have just been made like.
They just
but we don't know if the game is in development, but you don't know how long it's been in development.
It was just like a very small announcement.
We know DICE.
Because those rights were announced when.
But that's the exciting thing about it because as DICE, you know how awesome Battlefield is already, so they're just going to do that with Star Wars, and it's
like that's. I really liked EA's press conference, by the way. It was like a lot of things that I liked in it. I mean, they brought out Dana White for the UFC game and like and John Jones and stuff, but like they didn't really do anything and whatever. And like the guy who does the announcing, he was out there too. Yeah. Back to this, what we were talking about, the Sony stuff. Mad Max, the game.
Also, just a teaser. But that's cool. Cool world.
Possible need to conserve ammo and stuff like that.
This shows his brutality too.
Yeah, and then that pretty much brought it into like the no use game stuff. We talked about that. The Drive Club, then Destiny gameplay, which I guess is the first gameplay footage.
Showed the blending of multiplayer and single player.
That was cool. And actually, another thing, like at E3 in general, a lot of the games have been. There's been a few games that have talked about merging the single player and multiplayer experience. Yeah. Well, and this was just an example of that.
What was that game at Ubisoft? What's it called? The Division, which is like. It was. How do you know how to describe it? It's like a third-person shooter, but you play online with friends. But then they can jump in and out at any time. Yeah. And like, there's that. I don't know if you remember that one part. Did you watch the whole thing?
I did watch that.
There's like that guy that flies in. And it's like his little flying thing.
A little drone. He's playing on his iPad.
He's playing on his iPad, that's cool. the idea of merging stuff like with existing technologies that you have, whether it's your phone or your iPad, and things that are going on online. So I imagine you would like download an app or whatever, and then you would have just like a bird's eye view of it. Wouldn't you look the same?
So like you a group of us is playing, but you gotta go. You gotta take a bus somewhere. You bring your iPad on the bus. You help out and like help us finish that.
I probably have like a map. It's very.
I feel like people would just fuck around with people's campaigns.
No,
well, I mean, I don't know how much you get. How much could you fuck around?
Video games and the internet. That's gonna happen.
I don't know where but like this has happened before, where someone can go on there or whatever and do something in your game. I can't remember what it was, but I remember there was like stories of people like messing up their game or whatever.
Well, I mean, there's that segment of the Watch Dogs trailer where they have the guy on the iPad or whatever, and if that guy just chooses to not help you, you're fucked.
And he could probably choose not just to not help you, but to actually impede you.
But it could be more exciting if you don't get any help. You're on your own.
Yeah, it just adds.
But it's cool seeing things pop up.
That was a really sweet bit of gameplay too for Watch Dogs. I'm very excited for that game.
Yeah, it was good, but more of the same. Like we've seen them just running through the city.
Man, that game was announced at last E3. It's coming out in November. They already said. I just like at some point like I don't want to see anymore. Just give me the game, you know.
And we had that as a launch game too. Like we were talking about exclusives. You got Killzone and
well, they didn't
Knack whatever. Yeah, but like we have all these games too. Plus Call of Duty Ghosts.
That's one thing they didn't talk about was the release date for the PS4, which we assume it's got to be November.
It's got to be around.
It's got to be November
because they said Call of Duty's coming out like
early November. I don't know. The date.
And they said Xbox November 5th, right?
No, they just said. They also just said November.
They just said November. We don't have. So it has to be November. If it's around Call of Duty, that makes sense. If it's too late after, it doesn't. You have to have it out by this holiday. You have, like even November is like pushing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like when's Black Friday? The 21st in the States.
Something like that.
Yeah. So you have to be out before that because lots of consoles are sold on Black Friday. Then they did. That pretty much closed it out.
Yeah.
Right?
The Destiny stuff was cool. Not really surprising. It's a first-person shooter, that gameplay, whatever. It looks cool. It looks like something you expect, but the multiplayer stuff where the other Fire Squads came in, that's cool. That's exciting.
It's like an in and out. Like you have then you have segments where people are with you, and then you have segments where you're just with you and your buddy, or just by yourself or whatever. So I think that's cool. Obviously, there was no Uncharted stuff, which is disappointing to me. I really liked Uncharted games. It's what got me to buy PS3.
They had to go a different direction.
Well, we know they're working on Uncharted.
Of course, they're working on it, but what are they going to show you? There's going to be an Uncharted for PS4.
Yeah,
Uncharted 4 PS4. But all that you could have expected from this would have been the same thing that they did with stupid Halo.
You never know.
When he takes his hood off, and it's just Drake in a desert.
You still want them to work on that.
Well, ever since Uncharted 3, okay, so the Uncharted 2 team has been working on Last of Us. Yeah, so the Uncharted 3 team, since Uncharted 3, they could be working on something else. You're right, but at the same time, they're a Sony-owned studio. What's Sony going to tell them to do? Like, make Uncharted. It's our best-selling first-party game. You know what I mean? It's not really.
Oh no, it's not the best. I don't think.
I think out of all their exclusives, I think Uncharted is the most popular.
God of War might be up there though.
Yeah. God of War is probably bigger.
But I mean, God of War, the last God of War didn't sell very well.
Last God of War sucked dick.
I mean, how different was it though from God of War 3? Really?
Well, no, but that's the thing. The gameplay is basically the same, but the story was was pointless. Mm-hmm. And it didn't feel like it felt like it could have just been its own new franchise that's just a fighting game, like a brawler like that, you know? Mm-hmm. It didn't have to be Kratos and all that stuff, and it didn't mean anything to me.
The whole pricing, I think, is a pretty big deal, though.
At $3.99?
Yeah. It was hilarious how he said it, too. He said, forcefully and loudly. And
no, that whole last bit there.
He said, how,
$3.99. He just knew it was going to be a big deal.
Well, the whole before that, he was talking about, consumer, openness and being, friendly to consumers and all that stuff. And then, by the way, it's $3.99. Yeah. You can, trade with your friends, all that
it's
stuff.
Obviously going to be probably more SKUs with more power, memory and stuff that could be more expensive. But Microsoft's going to have to lower the price to $3.99.
For $2.99?
To $3.99, sorry, to match it. When parents go to the mall or whatever, the store,
Xbox and there's a
both the same games. They're I can buy this game and this system and I get $100 off. So
yeah, and some kids are stupid and think that you can only play Call of Duty on your Xbox, but the fact is you can play it on both your Xbox and PS4. And if you can play Xbox or Call of Duty on your PlayStation for cheaper than you can play it on your Xbox, that's a pretty big deal.
But I think people have their mindsets already, no matter what they're getting.
I think some people.
But everyone I know who has an Xbox is already getting an Xbox One. Like, that's how it is.
Well, that's the group of people that are just like, they buy Madden, they buy Call of Duty, and that's like the only games they buy every year, you know? So, like, the people that you can sway were the ones who own maybe perhaps a PS3 and an Xbox.
The people I know two of them, like for my work, whatever, they're getting both, they say, because they like the exclusive games, but they like their friends on their Xbox or whatever, so
we'll see, because, like, it's all about the friends, right? So if more people buy at first the PS4,
but
you can convince people to get the PS4.
This whole price stuff can help, though, so...
Yeah, that's true.
And like, use games and
well, yeah, it's definitely something right there. They definitely undercut Microsoft a bit. And
but Microsoft announced that they're doing the free games, whatever, right?
Yeah, so the Halo 3 and...
what was it? One a month or something? They said that, or
I don't remember what it was. They said
something along those lines. Like something along the same thing that PSN Plus does.
What the heck was the remodel of the 360? Like,
it just looks like an Xbox One. Like, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, they relaunched a new Xbox.
That's like a Wii type of thing. Like, it's confusing.
They just relaunched. They had a new Xbox at the last E3.
Yeah. Just leave that alone now.
Yeah.
But I guess you can't really, because even Sony focused on the PS3 a lot. Well, big games are coming out.
PS2 was supported. Like, there's PS2 games still come out in some.
Just remodeling it though, like to make it look like an Xbox One. That's kind of weird.
It just makes people confused. You can have an Xbox 360 and Xbox One right next to each other. One's gonna look like
they
they're
even
the same.
The price drop too, right? They still said $299 or whatever it's at.
So you can have $200 difference. They look the same. There's for sure going to be like 3 or 4 people in the United States or more that just can think that that's the same thing and buy it.
Did they announce a new controller for it, or just the system?
Well, they last at the earlier announcement thing that they had. When they showed the console, they showed the controller. It's black. It looks like the original Xbox One, like the Xbox original, and the Xbox 360 controllers got merged, kind of.
No, I'm talking about the 360 controller.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. It's probably the same. The one thing about the 360 and the Xbox One stuff is that the batteries are still like not in recharge. Like, it's not just a rechargeable controller. You have to put a battery pack in it still, which is weird to me. Like, I don't understand where this is 2013. Like, I don't know. The EA stuff they obviously touched on. They finished on a new Mirror's Edge game, which looks pretty cool. I don't know if you guys either you were played it or liked it.
I think I only played the demo actually, maybe a bit at your house.
I really like Mirror's Edge. I think it's awesome.
It's a cool concept for sure. Like, it was an intriguing game. I don't know why I never bought it. I just didn't.
So if it's anything, which it probably will be, because what people really liked about it was like it wasn't about shooting guns. Like, you disarm people. It was like you control one arm with one button and the other arm with the other, and then your legs with it. Like, you know what I mean? It was.
How long was the trailer?
I don't know, 30 seconds. Showed like new conceptual, like what they hope to make it look like, and it has very much the same aesthetic. It just looks so like clean and crisp, and
it did look clean and crisp.
Yeah, well, I know, but like it's like shine. It's got like, you know, it already looked like it was kind of like in a Minority Report style like cleanness to it. It's got like that shine that of like a future like shiny of like Michael Bay version of like The Island or whatever version of the future might look like, but like, you know, it's a weird reference. I don't know.
Game looks like you can't improve on it, in my opinion, from the graphics, because they're so like the shades and the colors are bright and whatnot, and the shadows.
It's still all about.
It's all perfect. So there's no reason. There's nothing they could really enhance too much.
Well, it's still all about.
It looks basically
you're talking
the
about
same.
A shine or whatever.
Well, no, not even that. It looks just better. I mean, like if you.
I'm sure you can take a screenshot of the old game.
Yeah, I can pull it up right here. Just watch this while we're talking and
kill the volume.
There you go. Yeah, and then also obviously we talked about Battlefield 4. They talked about their EA Sports games, which all work on the new Ignite engine, which is just FIFA, Madden, NBA UFC. Live, which hasn't come out in UFC. We already know NHL won't be on the new consoles at least this year. It'll just be these generation consoles.
It's cool that EA is doing UFC now. It was a THQ thing before.
Oh, was he? I didn't know that. Like, was there 2 games at one point?
They did, like, EA had their own kind of MMA thing, but nobody really cared about it because it's not UFC, right? So UFC's not with THQ anymore. They're with the big dog, like the biggest, you know.
That makes sense.
Company.
And NBA Live hasn't had a game in like 3 years. EA hasn't had an NBA game in 3 years. So, or 2, maybe 2 or 3. But, I'm like those two third-party conferences, EA and Ubisoft, were both exciting. Ubisoft was kind of boring, but Aisha Tyler was pretty good.
I didn't watch. I caught the tail end of it.
She just was like, it was like the only good host of any of these conferences. She didn't feel like awkward and stuff. It was
I thought it was a little bit like they always try to say it, like convince the audience that they're a gamer, which
she is a gamer.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like
she is a gamer.
It doesn't seem like she is though.
But she is though.
Well, how do you know she is?
Well, because like
seen her game.
I heard her talking about it, and she.
Yeah, they always talk.
No.
Even before this, like her Twitter is all about like video games and stuff like that. She's been involved.
Persona.
But
either way, this was like a sheen on the first scene there. The rest looks like the old game to me. But
what is this? Pretty much it's the same idea. That's what you want.
Yeah. I want another Mirror's Edge. It's like looks and feels like the first one. So
I didn't watch most of the Ubisoft one, but I caught the end with that. The Division game.
I don't know if you saw the opening part where they're just like talking about like how like a pandemic might like spread or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like you remember the Watch Dogs trailer from last E3? It was like the same thing. Other than that, they talked about Rayman, South Park. They had a little trailer for Stick of Truth. It was like, again, 30 seconds long. It wasn't very long. Talked about it. It was actually really funny.
Stick of Truth?
The Stick of Truth, yeah. And Splinter Cell, obviously. But we we saw a bunch of last E3 and we haven't really seen a lot about it. We don't even know, is it coming to the PS3 at all? The Splinter Cell? We don't know. Overall, today was a big day for E3 news. Mm-hmm. Anything that stood out to you guys?
Overall, I just think that Sony kind of stole the show at the end. Like they had their conference was much slower and they're a lot of boring stuff at the beginning, but they got that out of the way and stole the show in the end.
Okay. Yeah.
Microsoft focused it felt like it was more they were trying to focus more on the games, which is what people were disappointed with them earlier for. So,
Jeremy, anything that?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it actually sucked for the first hour though, but
the fact that it was
Microsoft
2 hours long.
Sony one?
The Sony one. I didn't watch the Microsoft one. I just heard they focused on games, which is what they need.
They did, and they showed a couple exclusives and that kind of stuff, and like that was exciting too. That Rise Son of Rome game looks pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I want to know more about that dragon game, but the sound cut out.
Well, I don't. Man, they're just dragons. I don't know.
Wait.
There was that dragon game they announced in February, but they didn't touch on.
What was it called? Maybe it might be the same game. I don't know.
No,
Crimson Dragon.
I think it's exclusive to PS3 or whatever. It was like
there
a
was
knight
some
with a
stupid
sword.
game about airplanes. You would be so excited for it.
I don't know, man. There's games about airplanes, and they aren't that exciting.
You're just racist against dragons.
Okay, I'm dragon racist.
But they always hype like the next E3 is gonna be the best, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think this was like even close to like some of the previous E3s.
Well, we were younger though, so it like just seems
everyone
more
just says they hype it. Like I'm curious to see what like people in the industry say, but I don't feel like it was the best E3 in a decade or whatever.
Well, I feel like it wasn't actually that much new stuff. Everything we saw, really, we've already kind of knew.
That's one thing I was hoping for out of
console,
Sony more.
Obviously more powerful than the previous one, and then more games to it. Like
we also saw a bit more of Beyond Two Souls, like that.
Yeah,
that was different than anything we've seen so far, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, the Beyond Two Souls, the original stuff was kind of just like Willem Dafoe and
random town, and she got a shaved head and stuff like that.
Yeah, and now she's a
military
trained
more like some sort of spec ops thing, and
it looks more like a game than Heavy Rain was. More of like a story.
Pretty excited for that game too, though.
For me, the big stuff is obviously the price differences and just like the drastic divergence in the paths that Sony and Microsoft are taking, which, good or bad, is going to be
do you think
interesting to see.
Think that was planned a long time ago, or do you think that Sony just kind of like saw the reaction to Microsoft's stuff and just like
I think Microsoft had to do that because they don't have that many first-party studios, and they want to be the center of your living room, which encompasses TV, entertainment, movies, all that stuff. And Sony has 14 first parties. Why not use that to your advantage?
It's true, and they do.
And because someone else is doing that, take a different path. You have those parties to make the game, so that's what they're doing.
I think you were asking about the price though. You think they had $4.99 planned and they're like just dropped to $3.99 last minute, like kind of thing? Yeah. I don't think so.
No, I think they planned it for a long time.
I think most people were expecting $3.99 as the as a price point
because of how they messed up before.
Yeah.
Then like even when before he's like, and we're excited to announce the price. I was like, okay, he's either gonna say $3.99 or just $4.99 or whatever. And then like I was pretty surprised he said $3.99, but
that was it.
That's what they needed to do, and they did it.
Well, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, it's surprised Microsoft. I don't think they priced themselves out because when Sony did it, they had the 3 SKUs. One was cheaper, but $5.99 was the highest one.
Yeah, which what you wanted because it was backwards compatible and more gigs and stuff.
This they made it more simple. It's just 1 SKU, $3.99.
Well, we don't
one
know.
SKU,
You don't know that yet.
No.
Because they had that article in IGN with the rumor $3.99 to $5.99, which I could see very possible.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
And they always charge lots for their memory for some reason.
Yeah, it's like you have like a 20 gig and then you go to like a 30 gig and it's like
$100.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, like that's what I said. I just want to see how that plays out. Like I don't think Microsoft has priced themselves out like Sony did.
I don't think so either.
But
I can still see them dropping the price, which would be like
just as an answer,
like to people in the industry and to gamers who know about that stuff, we would see it as an answer to it. And
well, it is. That's what it would be.
But like to everyone else, they just it's $3.99. That's $3.99. Okay,
yeah, because most people aren't paying attention to this, and when they actually do come out,
it's smart for them to drop it to $3.99.
I don't know if they will.
That's a $100 difference.
Yep, and that's a lot of people will. That sways a lot of people.
Christmas comes, you got to buy a system and a game, and $100 off.
Well, and you're already getting a free game with the system because presumably you'll get PlayStation Plus in some fashion when you buy it.
In it maybe.
Yeah, a box with like a I don't know.
Sure, I'm sure Xbox will do something like that too, though.
Yeah,
yeah,
they do.
That's when you buy your PS3, right? It came with 3 months or something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Other than that, I think we can wrap it up. Find us at our website, towerbabble.podcast.com, our Twitter. I'll be tweeting stuff about E3 for the rest of the week. Our Facebook page, which is Tower Babblecast. Our Twitter, did I say Twitter? Yeah, Twitter already. Yeah, at Tower Babblecast. Yeah, and nope, just at Tower Babblecast. I have it all. It comes out like normally for me now, and
I can't wait till you mess it up again.
well, you'll be waiting a while then.
iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, just Google the name.
Go
to the website. It's all there. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we will have probably more E3 content in the next few days.
Exclusive content.
Exclusive content. I can promise you that none of it will be exclusive. Obviously, we'll have our Game of Thrones finales talk up probably in the next couple days, and then more to come. So stay tuned. See you guys.